Endgame is way, all caps, way better than.
Oh, this might be the worst one, bro. Low key. No, is like I mean personally, I think Avengers Endgame isn't that great of a movie. I think
I
it's
agree. Yeah, it's been it's the only movie that survived my No Way Home siege. Like when I had the No Way Home at the very bottom, I was just dragging it up on my letterbox until I got to. Hey guys, welcome back to the video. In this video, Brantley and I are back reacting to some MCU unpopular opinions. Before we get into it, if you guys are new in here, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I open a video or I go live. Both wasting more time. Let's get into it. So starting it off, the first unpopular opinion that we have today is that John Walker is more interesting than Sam and Bucky in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
okay. I don't know if I agree with this take because personally, I think Sam is probably the most interesting character in the show. But like, I'm not mad at this take because honestly, like, I'll say the first few episodes, I actually probably would have said the same thing, like for a while, until kind of they expanded upon Sam's story a bit more. But like, yeah, John Walker was a really interesting villain. I mean, I think they kind of butchered his ending, but I think
Yeah, definitely.
if they would have stuck the landing on the ending, like he would have definitely been like up there in terms of like Marvel villains, like in general. He was a really interesting character.
So what episode do you think turned, like, I think the episode that turned, because I think John Walker is always a very interesting character, but I think that the finale just butchered him completely.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
I would say the finale just completely ruined him, and like, I would say episodes 1 through 5, maybe you could say he was more interesting, but I definitely think that it goes Sam, John Walker, then Bucky.
No, that's actually my exact ranking as well. Like, wow, Bucky's story, like I like the way they expanded upon him. I feel like it was very like predictable. Like, I kind of like had a feeling they was gonna go that route with like flashbacks, whatever, which made sense. Like that was kind of necessary for the character, but like it just didn't really offer too much more.
The second hot take that we have is that once the Fantastic Four arrive in the MCU, they should be the center team. So I personally think that there shouldn't be a center team in the MCU anymore. I know that that might be a hot take in itself, but I don't think the MCU should have a center team. I think it's too big to have a center team. So I think that maybe like Secret War should be the only team up movie, like everything coming together.
Yeah, so like I disagree with the hot take, but I do agree with your take. I feel like as the MCU like it expands, because even now we're getting like your cosmic stuff, like your street level stuff, and kind of just like it's branched off to all these different areas. I think that it just makes sense to just have like kind of main teams for each area, and they kind of all like overlap, but like not like one like center person or group. So yeah, I think that like Fantastic Four, they can kind of just branch off and be part of like that cosmic era. Maybe even they're just kind of like everywhere almost in a way, but like
Yeah.
not really the main like center. So yeah, I disagree with that take.
Moving on to the third hot take that we have. This one is probably honestly the least hot take of a take to us because we actually agree with this one, I think, a lot. And that is that the MCU should get rid of the 6-episode miniseries format and it should be 8 to 10 episodes. I know you have a lot to say on this, so go ahead, bro.
It was cool at first, but yeah, it has to go. Like I just don't get why. Oh, I mean, I do understand why like Disney and Marvel like as a company like why they just get stuck. Like they'll just do one thing. Like they just have a formula. They just keep copy and pasting it almost. But like I feel like it's gonna get stale after a while. Like even the shows that we got last year, like by the time like I enjoyed Hawkeye, by the time I reached out, I was like, dang, like it's just the same like just kind of just structure. Like it's I feel like it has to kind of get changed eventually. And I mean, hopefully, and I think the real test will be with Moon Knight, since like the first kind of like origin type of show that we're gonna see with this format. If they can really tell a good, like expansive, concise like story, like with like a new character in this format, and like I feel like that would be kind of a deciding factor. So maybe that kind of proves this point wrong. But if they can't, then like I feel like it's gotta go. Especially like watching Peacemaker, that should have been eight episodes. Now eight episodes that do vary in length. Some are a little bit longer. They aren't really like consistent in like time. I mean, I think even that it just feels like I'm just getting like more out of this.
If you want to keep it 6 episodes, give me the writers from Loki then. Because Loki did the 6-episode format with the surprise villain at the end, and it was still really, really good in my opinion, like villain-wise, story-wise in general. It also makes sense because Loki didn't have to have a closing. Like, they never really had closure, to be honest. The next hot take that we have, this one, I know that we're probably going to have differing opinions on, just because we have differing opinions on this movie in general. And I think that our opinions are pretty radically different, okay? So the next hot take is a lot of viewers dislike the Eternals, and their dislike was established before they even watched the movie. Okay, so I'm gonna, before I hand it over to you, I'm gonna just answer and then I'll give it to you. I agree with this. I don't think it's a hot take for me personally because I just love the movie.
Yeah, as someone that took like I watched the movie like months after it came out.
Mm.
Like I do agree with this take, but at the same time, for me, it was weird. Like for me, I feel like I low-key like I enjoyed it more because like in a way I had heard all the slander and like I kind of set like the bar like so low that like it kind of surpassed like
No, that sounds so bad.
like but I
Oh my
do think the
god.
movie is like it's decent. Like I think it is like genuinely like okay. Like I don't think it's nearly as bad as anyone's saying. But I'm saying going into it, I feel like my watching experience was actually like better than maybe some other people because like I expected it to be like garbage and it wasn't. I don't know.
Interesting. That's a cool way to put it. We're gonna move on because there's another Eternals one later, which we'll have a heated discussion about. But next up, I think this one is very, very, very unpopular. I do think this is very unpopular. Captain America has the worst trilogy in the entire MCU.
This is a terrible take. He literally has like two of my favorite movies in the MCU almost, like both like maybe top 5 Civil War and Winter Soldier in the trilogy. Now, First Avenger is a little but those two carry, bro. Like,
I will admit though, this isn't a hot take, but I will throw this out there. Even though Winter Soldier is my third favorite MCU movie, I do think the Winter Soldier is overrated. Moving on, this one actually connects back to the Fantastic Four one that we talked about, and our hot take now is that the X-Men should not join the MCU, in the main MCU universe, completely in a separate universe, in the multiverse, of course. So like, if a multiversal event like Secret Wars occurs, obviously they can come through.
I don't hate this take. Like, I think you know we talked about this like previously, like how they could bring the X-Men in, like have them kind of chill in their own universe, like for a little bit, like build them up and then bring them in. I think that idea like would like work in my opinion. Just have them do their own thing.
What do you think of the idea of introducing the X-Men into the MCU and Doctor Strange, right? With the multiverse and all that kind of stuff. But then all of the X-Men movies that we get don't take place in the MCU, but they're the same character. They're just like prequels of those characters. You know what I'm saying? Like it's movies that include those same characters, but they're like in it before they got into the MCU.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, honestly, like my like ideal like way of doing the X-Men, especially after watching Eternals and like seeing like these big teams, like honestly, I think my ideal way to like bring the X-Men will honestly be through like shows almost.
An hour is not enough for one character when you think you're gonna build everyone up fully, or you're gonna have to sacrifice one character's episode for build up to the finale. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can't just build up a big bad when you're following completely different Eternals.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know, because think about any other like team movie, right? Usually like they're kind of all brought together by like a villain in a conflict and they all kind of just come together. You kind of do that same thing with a show, like just follow a character, still have like the villains like plot looming in the back, or maybe even 2 characters like an episode, and then eventually they come together. You get like 3 episodes at the end where they're like a full team or whatnot. So I don't know, yeah, maybe not like an episode per character, but something like that.
Next up, I'm actually gonna skip the next one because we already talked about it slightly, but it's just a hot take. Someone said First Avenger over Civil War.
No.
Next up, we have Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is better than the first one. I have to heavily disagree with this one.
I mean, I disagree per se. Yeah, I think the first Guardians is like a classic comic movie. Like, I think it's just great. The second one, I think it's good. Like,
I don't like that they got separated. That really ruined it for me. That personally ruined it for me, is them getting separated. We're gonna go do 2 Spider-Man ones back to back because I think these are pretty freaking crazy. So the first Spider-Man hot take that we have is Far From Home is the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie.
No, I mean, like No Way Home is. I mean, it's way better. I mean, even Homecoming is better. Like far better than Far From Home. Like it's just
Homecoming, great story. No Way Home. I mean, No Way Home, great story. It felt like Far From Home was written by 30-year-olds. Like you could tell it was like 30-year-olds trying to write teenagers. That's my problem.
I mean, I think the best aspect of the movie.
Far from good.
Yeah, basically it is. Like it's just Mysterio is probably my favorite part of the movie. And there's nothing else really about it that like I look back fondly of, honestly.
Honestly, I could say it has the worst writing in any Spider-Man movie. Like in the time it came out.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, like this might not make sense. I feel like the movie, like it low-key felt like it was like a filler movie, bro. Because the thing, like I don't remember like Peter's arc really like progressing that much. So it kind of felt like a repeat of what he like learned in Homecoming.
Yes,
then,
I agree.
Like it didn't feel like like obviously there was a story there that progressed, but like the character stuff didn't really grow in that movie, in my opinion. Like it felt like a filler movie.
The only growing we had was MJ and Peter's relationship, which is important for No Way Home, I will say. But like story-wise, you could have done so much more. They genuinely could have done so much more. I don't know why they did. We'll hit it back to back with the Spider-Man stuff. We'll go. The Amazing Spider-Man is better than No Way Home.
That's crazy. I mean, I'm not even the biggest No Way Home fan, like, but like, I mean, I like No Way Home a lot. I just think it's kind of overrated. But Amazing Spider-Man, like, no, I mean, Amazing Spider-Man is a good movie. I think it is solid. It was a nice start. Andrew Garfield was good in it. I mean, Lizard, he wasn't the best in the movie, but like, I think it was cool.
It doesn't touch No Way Home, but I would say that like tier wise, I would put like No Way Home at like God Go, one of the best comic movies of all time tier, and then I'd put The Amazing Spider-Man at like I would rewatch it. That's where I would put Amazing Spider-Man at. Next hot take is that Eternals is fantastic and is one of the best Marvel movies. Now, I disagree with this statement, but I don't disagree with the fact that it's one of the best MCU movies.
I mean, Eternals, like, it might. How many movies MCU like? Are we
I thought Eternals was generational, by the way, if you guys couldn't tell already.
It was not generational.
This one's actually pretty wild. It says Age of Ultron has higher highs than Avengers 2012.
Like, I do think Ultron does get a little too much hate. Like, I think the movie's actually like decent, but I mean, it's definitely like nostalgia, but like, and it's not perfect, but it's like Ultron, like that plot is a bit more interesting than the Avengers plot. And I'll say Ultron as a villain in. Oh, this might be a hot take, but Ultron as a villain in that movie, I think is more interesting than Loki in Avengers. Now Loki as a character overall is better.
Hot
I'm
take,
saying
hot take.
of that movie, like comparing both of them in their respective movies, like I think Ultron was better in his movie than Loki was in Avengers. Like, I mean, Loki was kind of basic, to be honest. Like in the first Avengers, like he was entertaining, but I'm saying as an actual villain, like he wasn't that interesting in me.
We're gonna end on this one. This is probably the hottest take that we have today, I think. Endgame is way, all caps, way better than Infinity War.
Oh, this might be the worst one, bro. Low key. No, Infinity War is like, I mean, personally, I think Avengers Endgame isn't that great of a movie. I think
I agree.
That's cool moments, but I mean, Infinity War, I think it might be my favorite movie in the city. Like, I go back and forth between like a lot, but like, it's definitely it's always top two.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only movie that survived my No Way Home siege. Like when I had the No Way Home at the very bottom, I was just dragging it up on my letterbox until I got to Infinity War.
And I feel like the quality of Infinity War does kind of affect it because they're kind of like, this is kind of a part one, part two situation. So like coming off of Infinity War, like to have some like Endgame, like I think it was really just, I mean, it was for the fans and that was cool, but like I just like Infinity War, it's like the tension and like the bar was like here. The end game drops and like it just went down. Everything's went down so much. Like I just feel like it wasn't a worthy follow-up in my opinion to like the story we got in Infinity War.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Endgame just fumbled the bag, especially with all that Infinity War built up. That's basically all we have for the hot takes today. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video because we'll be sure to do more hot takes. We'll do MCU hot takes, DC hot takes, whatever hot takes we can think of. We'll make sure to do it if you guys like this video. Check out all Brantley's social medias and all of his stuff in the links in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.